The Sterling family, who had always longed for a daughter, finally welcomed their little heiress, Lily Sterling. Grandpa Richard Sterling was so thrilled he immediately announced he'd be leaving his multi-billion-dollar fortune to Lily. But at her welcome party, the private doctor, Dr. Reed, knelt on the floor, his face ashen. "Mr. Sterling, Lily is very frail. She's in respiratory failure. I'm afraid she won't make it through the night." Mrs. Evelyn Sterling fainted on the spot. Hearing this, Lily's 8 older brothers charged towards me, ready to give me, the newly hired intern nanny, a good beating. I was trembling with fear, about to explain, when a furious baby voice suddenly echoed in my mind. "The perfume on that woman in the white dress is poisonous. I only faked my breathlessness because I smelled it. Quick, get me to somewhere ventilated. After pulling a VIP spawn with 100,000 good karma points, I'm getting poisoned right out of the gate. Whoever saves me gets $1 billion. The next second, I lunged towards Lily. "Don't touch her." I pushed away the maid blocking the crib and scooped up the baby, swaddle and all. Just then, Ethan Sterling, the eldest son, strode forward, veins bulging on the back of his hand. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" I clutched the baby and backed away several steps, my back hitting the wine cabinet, making the glasses clink loudly. "She's not dead. She can still be saved." Dar. Reed, who was still kneeling nearby, his face darkening, immediately stood up. "Nonsense. The child is in severe respiratory failure. Her cardiopulmonary function is almost at a standstill. What do you, an intern nanny, know?" Sarah White, Mr. Sterling's secretary, had red-rimmed eyes, but her fingers were tightly clenched. "Chloe, I know you just started and are afraid of taking responsibility, but you can't torment the baby like this. Lily is already so pitiful, why are you making her suffer more?" As she spoke, she moved 2 steps closer to me. That sickly sweet perfume scent wafted into my nose again. The little thing in my arms screamed in my head. "That's the smell. Back off, back off. If I smell it again, I'll really kick the bucket." My scalp tingled, and I quickly dodged sideways with the baby, putting some distance between us and Sarah. Mr. Sterling, David, who had been by the unconscious Evelyn's side, suddenly whipped his head around, his eyes bloodshot. "What did you just say?" My palms were sweating from nerves. "Lily isn't dying naturally, she was poisoned, which caused her to stop breathing. She can't stand this strong scent. She needs to be taken to a well-ventilated place immediately." Dr. Reed's face changed, and his voice shot up. "Absurd. I've been practicing for 20 years. Are you saying I can't even tell if an infant is breathing or not? Mr. Sterling, this nanny is clearly trying to shirk responsibility and is deliberately spreading baseless rumors." Noah Sterling, the 3rd son, slammed his fist on the table, shattering a wine glass. "Lily has always been fine, how could she suddenly be poisoned?" Hearing this, Sarah White's eyes immediately reddened. "It's all my fault. I just thought Lily was so cute and got a bit closer to look at her. If I had known Chloe would make a fuss over it, I wouldn't have gone near her." The baby's voice in my arms was trembling with anger. "She's faking it. Still faking it. She didn't spray ordinary perfume at all, it's mixed with irritants that are deadly to infants." I gritted my teeth and looked up. "Mr. Sterling, there's something wrong with the perfume she's wearing." Sarah White's face subtly changed, but she quickly approached me again, her eyes red. "What do you mean?" "I'm kindly comforting Mr. Sterling, and because you can't save the child, you want to pin the blame on me?" The Sterling son's gazes grew colder and colder. My legs were shaking, but the little one in my arms was growing weaker, and the voice in my head kept urging me. "Get me out of here. There are too many people in this room, and the air is stale. I'm going to suffocate." I took a deep breath, deciding to go all in. Now isn't the time to assign blame. Any more delay, and Lily really will lose her life. Dr. Reed stepped forward with a stern face. "If we let her continue this madness, the child won't even have her final dignity. Mr. Sterling, apprehend her at once." 2 bodyguards immediately closed in. My gaze swept across the room, spotting a half-open French door at the far end of the banquet hall. Then I looked at the extremely weak Lily in my arms. Go. $1 billion. I always keep my promises. My mind raced, I hugged the baby tight, turned, and ran. I had barely run 2 steps when someone roughly yanked my shoulder. Sarah White lunged from behind, her sharp nails digging into my flesh. "Stop her. She's trying to steal the baby." That shout sent the entire banquet hall into chaos. Several bodyguards rushed forward simultaneously, blocking my path to the window. I was forced to retreat repeatedly, my lower back hitting the buffet table. "I'm not stealing the baby. I'm saving her." Liam Sterling, the 4th son, sneered, slamming a carving knife onto the table. "Saving her? You're running around with a child who's almost breathless, and you call that saving her?" Dr. Reed quickly approached, sweat beading on his forehead. "Mr. Sterling, we can't let her continue this madness. Lily's body is already naturally frail. If she falls or gets bumped, it will even be difficult to determine the cause of death." The baby's voice in my arms was almost crying. "I'm not dead yet. What cause of death are you talking about? Why are these people more impatient than the Grim Reaper himself? I almost laughed at her remark, but more than that, I was alarmed. Her voice was much weaker than before. I couldn't afford to delay. I dodged sideways with the baby, stepping on a chair and scrambling over it. Several champagne flutes crashed to the floor. Noah Sterling cursed angrily. That crazy woman. As I landed, a hand suddenly blocked my way. It was Mr. Sterling, David. His eyes were bloodshot, and his entire demeanor was seething with suppressed anger. Say that again. My breath was ragged, I clutched the swaddle tight, squeezing out each word. Lily isn't critically ill, she suffered from breathlessness induced by an irritating scent. As long as she leaves this place and breathes clean air, she can still wake up. Sarah White, her face pale, clutched her lower abdomen, her voice choked with tears. Mr. Sterling, she's slandering me. I'm carrying your child too. How could I possibly harm Lily? At this statement, the entire hall fell silent. The sons were also stunned. Mr. Sterling's pupils suddenly constricted. What did you say? Sarah White's tears fell, and she gently placed a hand on her stomach. I had planned to tell you later. I found out at the hospital today, I'm already over a month pregnant. I know it's not appropriate to say this now, but I just wanted to be by your side, and I never expected to be falsely accused like this. Hearing this, the baby's voice in my arms was furious. Pfft. She's bringing up her pregnancy now, she's treating you all like idiots. Forget about her for now, I'm really running out of air. Just then, Sarah White took another step forward. The scent wafted over, and Lily in my arms stiffened. Her already faint body temperature also began to drop. My face instantly changed, and I violently dodged sideways. Don't come near her. Sarah White flinched at my shout, her tears falling even more profusely. Mr. Sterling, did you see that? She's so hostile towards me, it's clearly premeditated. Dr. Reed immediately chimed in. Exactly. And the child's problem occurred while she was under her care. The most suspicious person, by default, is her. Mason Sterling, the second son, slowly advanced towards me, his voice low. Either put Lily down, or I'll do it myself. Lily in my arms seemed to exert her last ounce of strength, calling out in a tiny voice. The window. To the left. There's a breeze over there. My peripheral vision caught sight of a crack in the side door of the banquet hall, leading to a patio. I took a sharp breath, hugged the baby, and dashed towards it. Mason reached out to block me, but I lowered my head and shoulder barged past his arm. Footsteps behind me scrambled chaotically. Sarah White shrieked. Grab her. Don't let her take the baby away. The moment my hand touched the doorknob, I was violently shoved from behind. I instantly lost my balance. To protect the baby, I twisted my body, my knees and elbows hitting the ground hard. The swaddle was still tightly cradled in my arms. A commotion erupted around me, and the cold air from the patio finally streamed in through the door crack. The baby's faint voice in my head trembled slightly. It's working a little. Close the door. Dr. Reed sharply ordered, and 2 bodyguards immediately rushed over, trying to reclose the patio door. I was still kneeling on the ground, my knees burning with pain, but my mind cleared instantly. I lunged forward with the baby, half my body wedging into the door crack. The bodyguards paused. Noah Sterling's face turned livid with anger. Are you crazy? What if you hurt the baby? I bit down hard on my lip. She needs ventilation. Not your emergency resuscitation procedures. Dr. Reed's eye twitched. Ignorance. A baby in respiratory failure will only die faster from the stimulation of cold air. The baby's voice in my arms was weak and intermittent. Don't listen to his bullshit. What I'm most afraid of right now is that woman's smell. I desperately held the door open, sweat pouring down my forehead. Just then, a deep, hoarse voice came from nearby. Let me see the child. I looked back. It was Grandpa Richard Sterling. The old man stood not far away, leaning on his cane, his face looking terrible. Sarah White immediately went up to him, her face full of concern. Grandpa Sterling, please don't get upset, your health is important. This nanny has already caused Mr. Sterling to lose control, please don't let her deceive you. As she spoke, she raised her hand to help him. Grandpa Richard Sterling's cane stopped, and he directly pushed her hand away. Get lost. Sarah White's expression instantly froze. Grandpa Richard Sterling walked over step by step, his gaze falling on the child in my arms. You say she's still breathing. What's your proof? I licked my dry lips. Just now, when the patio door opened a crack, her reaction changed the moment she felt the breeze. Just give me a little more time. Dr. Reed quickly interrupted. Mr. Sterling, the child currently has no autonomous breathing response, her face is bruised, and she is in critical condition. You can't pin your hopes on an outsider's wild claims. The Sterling sons stood in a line, creating an oppressive atmosphere that made it hard to breathe. I knew that if any of them raised a hand, I was done for today. But Lily in my arms grew even weaker. I'm so sleepy. Don't let her get close to me. I looked up and saw Sarah White had somehow approached a few more steps. Her face still held that pitiful, innocent look. "Chloe, you keep saying my perfume has a problem, but why don't you show us proof?" My heart sank. Right, I had no proof. I couldn't exactly say the baby told me herself. Sarah White saw my hesitation, a flicker of triumph in her eyes, then she covered her belly and took a gentle breath. "Besides, I'm carrying the Sterling family's flesh and blood. I couldn't possibly do such a thing. You're so desperate to take Lily outside. Who knows if you're trying to destroy some evidence?" Dr. Reed immediately seized the opportunity. "Mr. Sterling, Grandpa Sterling, she is the one who should be investigated most thoroughly. The child's problem occurred in her care. She definitely has something to hide." Caleb Sterling, the eighth son, kicked over a nearby chair. "Enough. Tie her up first, then question her slowly." Two bodyguards lunged at me again. I clutched the baby and scrambled back towards the patio, my back hitting the railing. There was nowhere left to retreat. The night wind howled in. The little one in my arms suddenly let out a very soft whimper. Though faint, my heart jumped. "It's working." My eyes welled up, and I almost screamed. "She reacted just now. Didn't you hear it?" Everyone looked at me as if I were a desperate lunatic. Just as the bodyguard reached out to grab me, the doctor's assistant, Dr. Alex Smith, who had been cowering in the corner, suddenly rushed out. He wiped sweat from his brow. "Wait." Just now, Lily's fingertip seemed to move. Dr. Reed's face turned deathly pale. "Dr. Smith, don't talk nonsense." Dr. Smith's Adam's apple bobbed, and he forced himself to speak. "I was close, I don't think I saw wrong. And infants in breathlessness or feigned death can indeed experience brief recovery under specific stimulation." Sarah White's face instantly went white, and she sharply interrupted. "Are you all going crazy, one by one? Experimenting on a month-old baby? Who will be responsible if something goes wrong?" Mr. Sterling had been silent. Only then did he slowly raise his head, his gaze fixed on the baby's face. "Open the door. Let her take the child to the patio." Sarah White's breath hitched. "Mr. Sterling." Mr. Sterling glared at her. I said, "Open the door." The patio door was fully pushed open. The moment the cold wind swept in, Lily in my arms suddenly gave a very soft gasp. The next second, a hoarse, broken cry came from Evelyn Sterling's direction. "Let me see my daughter." Evelyn Sterling was helped by a maid, stumbling out. Her face was streaked with tears, her hair disheveled. Completely disregarding her appearance, she lunged forward, wanting to touch the baby. I instinctively moved a step sideways with the baby. At this slight movement, Evelyn froze. Sarah White, however, seemed to seize the opportunity and immediately stepped forward to support her. "Evelyn, don't worry, the child is all ready." Slap. Before she could finish, Evelyn raised her hand and delivered a sharp slap. Sarah White's head snapped sideways, and half her face quickly swelled and reddened. Evelyn was trembling all over, her voice cracking. "Get away from me. You are not allowed to touch my daughter." Sarah White covered her face, tears instantly streaming down. "Evelyn, I'm just worried about you." Evelyn ignored her completely, her bloodshot eyes fixed on me. "You just said she wasn't gone, but was harmed and stopped breathing?" "Yes." Dr. Reed still tried to step forward. "Evelyn, don't let her mislead you." Evelyn sharply turned, grabbed a vase from a nearby table, and smashed it bang. At his feet. Shards scattered. "My daughter is in this state, and you're still telling me who to listen to? If she still has a breath in her, anyone who dares to stop me, I'll make them pay with their life." The Sterling sons all froze. Sarah White's face was extremely grim, but she still tried to speak again. "But Evelyn." Grandpa Richard Sterling's cane thumped heavily on the ground. Silence. The old man's chest heaved violently, his eyes completely bloodshot. "No one is to stop her today. But you remember this, if you're playing games with me, you'll join my granddaughter in the grave." I nodded heavily at Evelyn and Grandpa Richard Sterling, then quickly rushed to the patio with the baby, placed her on a wicker chair, and unfastened her swaddle. Dar. Alex Smith also followed, his forehead beaded with sweat. "Loosen her clothes, don't cover her chest. First, check for chest rise and fall." I did as he said, my hands trembling violently. The baby's voice in my head grew weaker and weaker. "Faster, faster." Tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. "Don't fall asleep." Dr. Smith's hands trembled with urgency, and he immediately began emergency stimulation. "Pat her feet lightly. Then feel her neck for a very faint pulse." Nothing. There was nothing. Sarah White stood not far away, covering her face, a sinister glint slowly surfacing in her eyes. "Mr. Sterling, isn't that enough? If we keep tormenting her like this, Lily won't even have her final dignity." Mr. Sterling clenched his fists, his knuckles cracking, but he said nothing. Dr. Smith's face grew paler and paler. It's completely over." I slumped to the ground, mumbling. Dr. Smith checked Lily's chest, his eyes dimming, even his lips trembling. Sarah White subtly let out a breath, as if she had finally waited for this moment, and raised her hand to call the bodyguards. Take her. Dr. Smith suddenly shuddered. Then he abruptly looked up and shrieked. Wait. Lily, she moved. The patio was deathly quiet, save for the low, ominous howling of the night wind. Dr. Smith's voice, raw and trembling, hung in the frigid air like a fragile thread. Wait. Lily, she moved. Dr. Reed's face drained of what little color it had left. His eyes flared with a desperate, defensive panic. Dr. Smith, have you lost your mind? The child has been clinically unresponsive for several minutes. What you saw was nothing more than a post-mortem muscle spasm, a terminal reflex. Mr. Sterling, we must bring the child inside immediately to preserve her body. Leaving her exposed to this bitter wind is desecration. Desecration? The voice did not come from Chloe, nor did it come from Mr. Sterling. It was Evelyn, her voice low, ragged, and trembling with a mother's fierce, desperate hope. She pushed past her sons, her expensive gown dragging on the cold stone of the patio. Her eyes, red-rimmed and hollowed by grief, were locked onto the tiny bundle in Chloe's arms. If there is even a 1 in a million chance my daughter is breathing, I will tear this world apart before I let you lock her in a cold room. Chloe felt a sudden, frantic warmth against her chest. Ugh. Cold. It's freezing out here. The sharp, indignant baby voice exploded inside Chloe's mind, vibrant and furious, though physically, Lily only managed a tiny, convulsive twitch of her nose. But oh my God, oxygen. Yes. Give me more of that sweet, unpoisoned, beautiful air. My lungs were literally collapsing from that toxic witch's perfume. Quick. Nanny, keep me away from that woman. If I breathe in even a molecule of her scent again, my 100,000 karma points are going straight to the afterlife registry. Chloe's heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She ignored Dar. Reed, ignored the looming, muscular silhouettes of the Sterling brothers, and focused entirely on the fragile life in her arms. She's not dead, Chloe whispered, her voice gaining strength. Look at her lips. The blue tint, it's fading. Dar. Smith scrambled forward, dropping to his knees beside Chloe. He pulled a small penlight from his pocket, his hands shaking so violently he nearly dropped it. He gently parted Lily's tiny eyelids and shone the light. Pupillary constriction. Dr. Smith gasped, his voice cracking. It's present. And it's responsive. A terminal reflex would not present with active pupillary accommodation to light. She's alive. Her brain is actively receiving oxygen. What did you say? Ethan Sterling, the eldest son, stepped forward. The sheer gravity of his presence made the air feel heavier. His sharp, dark eyes darted from Dr. Smith to the baby, his stoic face cracking to reveal a vortex of shock and hope. She's breathing, Ethan, Evelyn sobbed, collapsing to her knees beside Chloe. She reached out a trembling hand, her fingers hovering millimeters above Lily's cheek, terrified that touching her might break the spell. My baby is breathing. Barely. The baby voice cried out in Chloe's mind. Tell them to get me some warm, clean air. My body temperature is dropping because I'm a newborn, you blockheads. But keep that fake pregnant snake away from me. Chloe immediately looked up at Evelyn. Mrs. Sterling, we need to keep her warm. But we cannot go back into the main banquet hall. The air in there is contaminated. Is there a private room with a separate ventilation system? Somewhere with clean, filtered air? Before Evelyn could answer, Sarah White stepped forward, her face a mask of grief-stricken concern. She cradled her stomach, her voice dripping with maternal anxiety. Evelyn, Mr. Sterling, please, we have to listen to Dr. Reed. He has been the family's trusted physician for 20 years. Chloe is just an intern nanny. What if she's using some kind of drug or trick to make the baby twitch? What if she's trying to cover up her own negligence by prolonging Lily's suffering? She's projecting. She's totally projecting. Lily's voice shrieked in Chloe's mind. The poison is on her. She has a small glass vial hidden in her left brassiere cup. She sprayed her collarbone and her chest with a highly concentrated, localized neurotoxin, an organophosphate variant designed to induce rapid respiratory arrest in infants upon inhalation. She knew I'd be held near her. Check her. Search her. Chloe's eyes widened. The level of detail from the baby's inner voice was staggering. She didn't know how Lily knew this, but she had to trust it. Her own life, and the life of this innocent child, depended on it. If you have nothing to hide, Sarah, why are you so eager to get Lily back inside that room? Chloe asked, her voice ringing out clearly over the patio. And why are you so terrified of a proper medical examination? Sarah's eyes flared with a fleeting, venomous hatred before she quickly reverted to tears. How dare you? I am carrying Mr. Sterling's child. Why would I want to harm Lily? She would have been my child's sister. Then let Dr. Smith examine the baby. David Sterling's voice cut through the air like a blade. He stepped forward, his face grim, his gaze locked onto Sarah. The shock of her pregnancy announcement had faded, replaced by the cold, calculating instinct of a billionaire patriarch who had built an empire on detecting lies. Reed, step back. Mr. Sterling. Dr. Reed stammered, sweat pouring down his temples. I must protest. Dr. Smith is young, inexperienced. I said, step back, David repeated, his voice dropping an octave. Two of the Sterling bodyguards, sensing the shift in their master's tone, immediately stepped between Dr. Reed and the baby, their hands resting loosely on their holstered weapons. Dr. Smith, emboldened by Mr. Sterling's support, quickly took a sterile stethoscope from his bag. He placed the pediatric chest piece against Lily's tiny chest. The patio fell into a suffocating silence, broken only by the wind. After 5 agonizing seconds, Dr. Smith looked up, tears of relief in his eyes. Heart rate is rising. 70 beats per minute, 80, 90. It's stabilizing. Her lungs are clearing. The acute bronchospasm is resolving. Evelyn let out a choked, hysterical laugh, burying her face in her hands. The 8 Sterling brothers stood frozen, the realization of what they had almost done crashing down on them. They had almost beaten a young nanny to death for trying to save their sister. They had almost let their sister die in a sealed room because they trusted a corrupt doctor. Noah Sterling, the hot-tempered third son, slowly looked at his fists, then at Chloe, his face burning with a mixture of shame and fury. We almost. Save your apologies for later, Grandpa Richard Sterling's voice rumbled. He walked forward, his cane clicking sharply against the stone. Though his body was old, his eyes held the terrifying sharpness of an apex predator. Ethan, Mason, Noah. Take Lily to the penthouse medical suite in the West Wing. It has an independent, medical-grade HEPA filtration system. Dr. Smith, you go with them. You are now in charge of my granddaughter's care. Yes, Grandpa, Ethan said instantly. He stepped forward, his massive frame casting a protective shadow over Chloe and the baby. He looked down at Chloe, his expression a complex mix of remorse and profound gratitude. Can you carry her? Or should I? I'll carry her, Chloe said, holding the baby securely. But we must ensure no one who has been in close contact with Sarah White's perfume comes near her. Sarah's breath hitched. Chloe, this is slander. Mr. Sterling, are you really going to let this servant insult me? David Sterling didn't look at Sarah. He looked at his eldest sons. Take them. Secure the West Wing. No one enters without my direct permission. As Chloe stood up, cradling the warming, breathing baby, she felt a profound sense of relief. But the battle was far from over. All right, Nanny, Lily's voice echoed, sounding a bit sleepy but triumphant. Phase 1 complete. We're out of the death zone. Now, it's time to destroy that snake's entire existence. Don't worry, your $1 billion is safe with me. Just make sure she doesn't flush the evidence. The West Wing of the Sterling estate was a state-of-the-art medical sanctuary. Built originally for Grandpa Richard's cardiovascular recovery but maintained to the standards of a world-class ICU. The air here was crisp, clean, and completely devoid of the heavy, cloying, artificial sense of the banquet hall. Chloe sat on a pristine leather chair in the center of the recovery room, Lily still cradled securely in her arms. Dr. Smith was busy checking the baby's vitals, connecting her to a silent, specialized infant monitor that displayed her oxygen saturation and heart rate. O2 sat is at 98%, Dr. Smith breathed, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Normal sinus rhythm. It's a miracle. If she had stayed in that banquet hall for another 5 minutes, the respiratory arrest would have become permanent, leading to irreversible hypoxic brain damage. Evelyn sat right next to Chloe, her eyes never leaving her daughter's face. She reached out, gently wrapping her slender fingers around Chloe's bruised hand. Chloe. I don't even know how to begin to apologize. I fainted, I was weak. And my sons, they almost hurt you. It's okay, Mrs. Sterling, Chloe said softly, though her knees still ached from where she had been thrown to the floor. You were all grieving and confused. The important thing is that Lily is safe. Humph, she's right, you know, Lily's voice chimed in, sounding much stronger now that she was hooked up to a mild oxygen nasal cannula. My brothers are a bunch of muscle-bound meatheads. Especially Noah. Did you see him smash that glass? Real mature, bro. But at least they're fiercely loyal. Now, Nanny, we need to talk about the poison. It's called aerotoxin B7. It's a restricted chemical compound used in high-end agricultural pest control, but in microdoses, it acts as a selective respiratory paralytic in small mammals and infants. Chloe's eyes flicked to the baby. How on earth does a newborn baby know the chemical composition of a military-grade or restricted agricultural toxin? Hey, don't look at me like that, Lily's voice grumbled, as if sensing Chloe's confusion. I told you, I'm a VIP spawn with 100,000 karma points. In my past life, I was a double doctorate forensic toxicologist and pharmacologist who died saving a laboratory from a chemical fire. The universe decided to reward me by letting me keep my intellect and reincarnating me into the wealthiest family on Earth. But apparently, the universe forgot to patch the security system, because I almost got spawn killed by a gold-digging secretary. Chloe nearly gasped aloud. A reincarnated forensic toxicologist. That explained everything. It explained the telepathy, the medical knowledge, and the sassy, incredibly mature attitude. Anyway, Lily continued, the chemical is highly volatile. It has a half-life of about 4 hours once exposed to air. If they don't test Sarah White's perfume and her skin within the next 3 hours, the chemical residues will evaporate, leaving only standard synthetic musk and jasmine oils. She'll get away with it, and she'll use her pregnancy to worm her way back into my dad's good graces. Chloe knew she had to act fast. She couldn't let the evidence evaporate. Dr. Smith, Chloe said suddenly, her voice sharp. Dr. Smith paused, looking up from his tablet. Yes, Chloe? You noticed that Lily's symptoms resolved almost immediately upon exposure to clean, cold air, correct? Yes, it was a classic presentation of acute, reversible airway hypersensitivity, likely induced by a localized chemical irritant. If it was a chemical irritant, there must be residues on Lily's swaddle, and on the clothes of anyone who came into close contact with her, Chloe stated firmly. She looked at Evelyn. Mrs. Sterling, we need to secure the swaddle Lily was wearing in the banquet hall. We also need to lock down the banquet hall and prevent Sarah White and Dr. Reed from leaving, changing their clothes, or washing their hands. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, the fierce, protective matriarch fully awakening. Ethan. She called out. The heavy oak door of the recovery room opened instantly. Ethan Sterling stood there, his face like carved granite. Yes, mother. Lock down the estate, Evelyn ordered, her voice dripping with ice. No one leaves. Not the guests, not the staff, and absolutely not Sarah White or Dr. Reed. Have the security team secure the banquet hall. Nobody touches anything. And tell your father to bring Sarah and Reed to the West Wing holding room. Immediately. Ethan looked at Chloe, then at his baby sister, who was now peacefully sleeping. I've already ordered the perimeter secured. Mason and Noah are keeping watch on Sarah and Dr. Reed. I will handle the rest. Before Ethan could turn, Chloe called out, wait, Mr. Sterling. Ethan paused, looking back at her. Tell the security team to search Sarah White's person immediately. Specifically, her left brassiere cup. She is carrying a small, sealed glass vial containing the concentrated toxin. Ethan's eyes widened slightly, a flash of cold fury passing through them. How? Do you know this? I smelled it when she lunged at me, Chloe lied smoothly, her heart racing. I saw her hand instinctively hovering over her chest, as if she was protecting something fragile. It's a common psychological reflex when someone is carrying contraband. Nice save, Nanny. Lily's voice cheered. You've got a sharp mind. No wonder. The system paired me with you. If we get through this, I'm definitely buying you a yacht. Ethan nodded slowly. Understood. If we find anything, she won't just face the law. She'll face the Sterlings. 30 minutes later, the atmosphere in the West Wing's spacious holding room was thick with tension. The entire Sterling family had gathered. Grandpa Richard sat in a high-backed leather chair, his hands resting on his gold-headed cane, looking like an ancient king preparing to pass judgment. David Sterling stood by the window, his back to the room, his shoulders tense. The 8 brothers stood in a semicircle, forming an impenetrable wall of muscle and authority. In the center of the room stood Sarah White and Dr. Reed, flanked by 4 heavily armed private security guards. Sarah's hair was slightly disheveled, and the slap from Evelyn had left a dark, purplish bruise on her left cheek. Her eyes darted around the room, frantic and calculating, like a cornered animal. David. Please, you have to listen to me. Sarah wept, her voice trembling. They searched me. Your security guards put their hands on me. They took my personal items. This is a violation of my rights. I am pregnant with your child. How can you let them treat me like a criminal based on the wild accusations of a crazy nanny? David slowly turned around. His face was entirely devoid of emotion, a mask of absolute, chilling calm. He walked over to the table in the center of the room, where a silver tray held several items. Among them was a small, elegant perfume bottle, a smartphone, and a tiny, unlabeled glass vial with a rubber stopper, which had indeed been recovered from the lining of Sarah's brassiere. What is this, Sarah? David asked, pointing at the tiny glass vial. Sarah's breath hitched, but she quickly recovered. It's my fertility medication. I was embarrassed to show anyone because I've been trying so hard to conceive your child, David. I kept it close to my heart because it's a symbol of our future. Oh, please. Lily's voice echoed in Chloe's mind. Chloe was standing near the door, keeping a safe distance but close enough to hear. Fertility medication? In an unlabeled, industrial-grade borosilicate vial with a synthetic rubber stopper. That vial is designed for chemical reagents, not pharmaceuticals. She's a terrible liar. Dr. Reed, seeing his own career and life on the line, decided to speak up. Mr. Sterling, as a medical professional, I must urge caution. The nanny is clearly suffering from some form of paranoid delusion. She has manipulated Mrs. Sterling's maternal panic. Dr. Smith is young and easily swayed. There is no logical reason to believe this child was poisoned. Infant respiratory distress is a well-documented medical phenomenon. Silence, Grandpa Richard rumbled. He didn't raise his voice, but the sheer authority behind it made Dr. Reed freeze mid-sentence. The old man looked at Dr. Smith, who had just entered the room holding a portable chemical analyzer, a piece of high-tech equipment from the Sterling private lab. Dr. Smith, Grandpa Richard said. What did you find? Dr. Smith looked nervous, but his eyes were resolute. He set the device on the table. I ran a rapid gas chromatography mass spectrometry test on the residues found on Lily's swaddle, as well as a sample of the liquid inside the small glass vial recovered from Ms. White. The room fell so silent you could hear the hum of the air filtration system. And? David Sterling pressed, his fists clenching. The swaddle contains high concentrations of synthetic musk, jasmine oils, and a chemical compound known as aerotoxin B7, Dr. Smith announced. It is a highly restricted organophosphate derivative. It is designed to be highly volatile, evaporating within hours, but when inhaled in close proximity, it causes acute, severe bronchospasm and respiratory paralysis. In an infant with developing lungs, it mimics natural respiratory failure. Dr. Smith then pointed to the small glass vial. The liquid in this vial is a 100% pure, undiluted aerotoxin B7. A single drop of this, if exposed to the air near a newborn, is lethal. The revelation hit the room like a physical blow. Evelyn let out a choked cry of pure horror. Noah Sterling let out a roar of fury and stepped forward, but Ethan held him back with a heavy arm, though Ethan's own eyes were burning with a deadly light. Sarah White's face turned gray. She stumbled backward, her legs hitting the edge of a chair. No. No, that's a lie. Someone planted that on me. It was Chloe. She must have put it in my pocket when we were struggling. You were searched immediately upon being brought to the West Wing, Mason. Sterling, the cold and logical second son, pointed out. The security footage shows you had no physical contact with Chloe after you entered this wing. The vial was found deep inside your undergarments. Are you suggesting Chloe has telekinetic powers? I. Sarah stammered, her gaze darting to Dr. Reed, silently begging him for help. But Dr. Reed was already trying to save his own skin. He fell to his knees, his face covered in sweat. Mr. Sterling. I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't. No. Sarah came to me a week ago. She offered me $5 million to declare Lily dead if she fell ill. She told me the child had a congenital defect and wouldn't survive anyway. I was greedy, I was foolish, but I had no part in the poisoning. I didn't know she was going to kill the baby. You cowardly piece of garbage. Sarah shrieked, losing all her composure. She lunged at Dr. Reed, her nails clawing at his face before a bodyguard violently dragged her back. You promised me. You said you would handle the certificate. You said we would share the fortune once my child became the sole heir. The truth was out. The conspiracy was laid bare. Aha. Gotcha. Lily's voice cheered in Chloe's mind, filled with childish glee. Double kill. The corrupt doctor and the evil secretary are going down. But. Wait, Nanny, there's one more thing. The pregnancy. She's faking it. Ask for the blood test results. Chloe took a deep breath. She stepped forward, attracting the attention of the entire room. Mr. Sterling, Chloe said, looking at David. Since Dr. Reed was in league with Sarah, his medical records regarding her pregnancy cannot be trusted. If she is indeed pregnant, she should have no objection to a rapid HCG blood test and an ultrasound performed by Dr. Smith right now. Sarah's eyes widened in sheer, unadulterated terror. Her stomach, which she had been cradling so protectively, suddenly seemed like a ticking time bomb. No, no. You can't touch me. I'm pregnant. The stress will cause a miscarriage. Sarah screamed, thrifting violently against the bodyguards holding her. Dr. Smith, David Sterling said, his voice colder than the winter wind outside. Draw her blood. Now. Yes, sir. Dr. Smith quickly approached with a syringe. Sarah fought, screaming and cursing, but she was no match for the Sterling security guards. Within minutes, the blood was drawn and placed into a rapid analyzer. 5 minutes later, the machine beeped. Dr. Smith looked at the screen, then at David Sterling. HCG levels are completely normal. She is not pregnant, nor has she been pregnant recently. The medical files provided by Dr. Reed were entirely fabricated. The last piece of Sarah's defense shattered into dust. David Sterling looked at the woman he had trusted as his personal secretary for 3 years. A woman he had almost believed was carrying his child. A woman who had systematically tried to murder his infant daughter for money. Ethan, David said, his voice quiet, but carrying a terrifying weight. Call the police commissioner. Tell him we have an attempted murder, a chemical weapon deployment, and massive medical fraud case. And tell him that if these two ever see the light of day again, the Sterling family will withdraw all investments from this city. Consider it done, Father, Ethan said. As the police were called, Sarah and Dr. Reed were dragged out of the room. Their desperate pleas and curses fading down the long hallway. With the threat removed, the suffocating tension in the Sterling estate finally evaporated. Lily had been moved back to her beautifully decorated nursery in the main villa, which had been thoroughly cleaned, ventilated, and cleared of any residual toxins. Chloe sat by the side of the crib, watching the little baby sleep. Suddenly, Lily's eyes fluttered open. They were deep, bright, and surprisingly expressive for a newborn. Phew. What a day. Lily's voice echoed in Chloe's mind, sounding incredibly relaxed. Honestly, reincarnating is exhausting. But we did it, Chloe. You and me. Teamwork makes the dream work. Chloe couldn't help but smile, reaching out to gently tickle Lily's tiny hand. You did most of the work, Lily. If you hadn't told me about the poison and the vial, would have been thrown in jail, and you. I don't even want to think about what would have happened to you. Hey, don't sell yourself short, Nanny, Lily said, her virtual tone warm and affectionate. It takes serious guts to run through a room full of terrifying giant men while protecting a baby, climb over furniture, and smash through a door. You're a badass. And remember, a VIP spawn always keeps her promises. $1 billion is coming your way. Just wait for it. Just then, the door to the nursery opened quietly. Chloe turned to see the 8 Sterling brothers entering. Without their aggressive, defensive postures, they looked remarkably human, though still incredibly imposing. They walked in single file, their expressions awkward, sheepish, and deeply remorseful. Ethan, the eldest, stepped forward first. He cleared his throat, his face slightly flushed. Chloe, Ethan said, his voice unusually soft. We wanted to come and speak with you. Privately. Chloe stood up, smoothing down her apron. Of course, Mr. Sterling. Please, call me Ethan, he corrected quickly. He looked down at his shoes, then back at her. On behalf of myself and my brothers, we want to apologize. We almost did something unforgivable. We let our panic and our biases blind us, and we almost hurt the person who was saving our sister's life. Noah stepped forward, his knuckles still slightly bruised from smashing the wine glass earlier. He looked genuinely ashamed. Yeah. I'm sorry, Chloe. I have a hot temper, and I almost laid hands on you. If I had, I would never have forgiven myself. You're the bravest nanny I've ever seen. If you ever need anything at all, you just have to ask. The Sterling family owes you a debt we can never fully repay. We all do, Mason added, his expression sincere. From now on, you are not just an intern nanny. You are Lily's personal guardian, with full authority over her security and care. No one, not even us, can override your decisions regarding her well-being. The other brothers murmured in agreement, each of them nodding respectfully to Chloe. Ah, look at them, Lily's voice cooed in Chloe's mind. The big, scary brothers are acting like scolded puppies. It's kind of adorable. Tell them they're forgiven, nanny. But tell them they have to buy you a castle first. Chloe chuckled softly. Thank you, everyone. I accept your apologies. I know you only acted out of love for Lily. As long as she is safe, that's all that matters. To me. It's not all that matters, a voice said from the doorway. Grandpa Richard Sterling walked in, leaning on his cane, followed by David and Evelyn. The old man looked at Chloe, his eyes crinkling with a rare, genuine smile. Sterling always pays their debts, Chloe. You saved my granddaughter's life, and in doing so, you saved the future of our family. David Sterling stepped forward, holding a sleek, black leather folder. He opened it and presented a document to Chloe. This is a contract of lifetime employment and a trust fund deed, David explained. As the official chief guardian of Lily Sterling, you will receive an annual salary of $10 million. Furthermore, in accordance with my father's promise, a trust fund has been established in your name, pre-funded with $1 billion. Chloe's breath caught in her throat. She looked at the document, her head spinning. $1 billion? Told you so. Lily's voice giggled in her head, doing a metaphorical backflip. I always keep my promises. Now you're a billionaire, Chloe. You can buy your own island, but you still have to take care of me, okay? I'm not letting you go that easily. It is a small price to pay for the life of our daughter, Evelyn said, tears of gratitude shining in her eyes as she hugged Chloe tightly. You are part of our family now, Chloe. Chloe hugged her back, feeling a profound sense of warmth and belonging. She looked over Evelyn's shoulder at the crib. Lily was looking right at her, her tiny mouth curved into a subtle, knowing baby smile, her eyes sparkling with mischief and endless possibilities. With $1 billion in her account, a family that adored her, and a genius reincarnated VIP baby by her side, Chloe knew that her life as a simple intern nanny was over. Her real adventure was just beginning.